I'm just here to say, as president of the Peralta Federation of Teachers, I am voicing the concern of many of the faculty and our dismay at the crisis that is before us, and we all want something to be done immediately to help our students. And just my last point is that in the future, not to invest or start in any new programs without really talking to the end users, and to run parallel systems so we can discover problems before we're in a crisis.
My name is Eric Hoffman. I'm a student at Berkeley City College. I'm here, like many students in a crisis. I've been filming a video series on YouTube regarding the problems that relate directly to Berkeley City College and the problems with financial aid. In late September, approximately September 20th, a notice was placed outside of our financial aid office saying that staff was aware of what was going on, and financial aid was asking them to make appropriate considerations for what was going on for our problems. I've spoken to several staff, and they have identified that they have not been identified with any problems whatsoever. It was not until I was able to do a mass email of Peralta employee emails at Berkeley City College that the staff was even aware what was going on at all. Furthermore, I'd like to speak that the Berkeley City College Financial Aid Office has been losing paperwork at an alarming rate. I find that my Social Security number, my mother's Social Security number, and our confidential information has been lost several times over. Okay. Our paperwork is being lost at an alarming rate. I also want to say that the board must make immediate actions to solve this financial aid crisis. The pressure some students have related in the pressure relating directly to thoughts of suicide. I've spoken with students how now selling themselves into sexual slavery. I myself am facing eviction because of the actions of Regent and the software. I want to say that I've spoke to, and I know now 5 students who have told me that suicide is possible. I will be out on the street in 30 days with nowhere to live because I've chosen to focus on my studies and put faith in this college that say that I will receive my financial aid when I need it. Furthermore,
Regent, last meeting I came here and I asked you whether or not you were aware of Regent being a beta software when you purchased it. The CEO of Regent called me yesterday morning, assured me that you did. It was part of the deal of Peralta Colleges being their flagship district. Okay. He also told me that Regent is 90 days past its launch date. They're working on it. I appreciate it. The minutes show that at the last meeting, in recess, behind closed doors, you agreed to spend up to $36,000 for Evans Consulting to attempt to help implement the software. Fantastic. If the money needs to be spent, spend it. But the fact of the matter is, tomorrow afternoon, Regent is pulling all of its information off of the district IT level and taking it to their own servers because it's the only way they can make their software work. Now, they say that it will make it work, but we have no guarantee of this. Based on your track record, our records are likely to evaporate. I just want to say that we need a date. We need you guys to start thinking about a settlement number, something that's fair for people who have undergone hardship. I acknowledge the timer, and I also want to say that please understand that these affect those who are disabled and impoverished the most. They affect people of color. They affect low-income people. This is a very, very serious situation. I personally have dropped my health care as a frivolous expense to stay in school.
The students at 4 Bay Area community colleges are concerned tonight about the financial aid they haven't received. Most affected is Berkeley City College, where some students have had to drop courses because they just can't afford the books. ABC 7's education reporter Leanne Melendez is here with the cause and effect. Leanne?
Dan, altogether we're talking about 6,000 students who have been affected before colleges implemented a new computer software system which was supposed to make things easier and quicker. Well, it hasn't, and students, of course, are suffering the consequences.
From you, I dropped 2 classes already.
I dropped 2 classes.
Yeah.
The delay in financial aid is the talk on the Berkeley City College campus. Students were supposed to receive their checks in early September.
I've had to borrow money from my parents. My parents have had to take money out of their retirement fund. I dropped 2 classes because the books are so expensive for the classes that, for what's required for my degree.
Here's what students have been told by the financial aid office.
They're having computer problems. They're having problems with their system, and that they're having problems sorting out who gets what, and when I'm going to get it, they don't know.
All 4 colleges that fall under the Peralta Community College District have been affected.
The colleges are responsible, their financial aid offices, for entering the applications, for processing the applications. But what's happening is they haven't all been entered because of some of the software glitches.
Maryland-based Regent Education is the company which created the software. In a statement, a Regent spokesperson said, "As soon as we were aware of the problem at Peralta, Regent immediately sent out a team." Regent also blames Berkeley City College for their staff constraints, something the district has acknowledged. Eric Hoffman is supposed to get between $3,500 and $4,000 worth of financial aid a semester.
This money is supposed to cover living expenses, school-related expenses, and help the economically disadvantaged cope and further their education. So what brings you to the financial aid line today?
Hoffman was so frustrated he used his camera to record the long lines of students waiting outside the financial aid office. He then put it on YouTube.
And this week what we're doing is we're pulling out all the stops, we're bringing people together, we're going to write checks manually if we have to get these things out.
Okay, so the college district says so far 2,400 checks have been cut, but there are 3,600 students that have yet to receive any money. On Friday, meaning tomorrow, the district promised to hand out more checks, but warned most of them will be issued sometime next week. Deb?
All right.
And of course, what do you know? My check was ready. However, on Friday, they made it Friday, which is today, they made it the most difficult that they could to get my check. I went in there at 8 a.m. expecting my check to at least be ready or some idea of what was going on, when they told me that College of Alameda's checks were being printed at the district office and that our checks weren't being printed at all. I talked to Dr. Betty Inklin, the president of Berkeley City College, and she told me directly that the checks could not be printed at our school, but they had to be printed at the district office. And when I told her about that news broadcast, she said, "Well, do you trust everything on the news?" After waiting several hours, as a matter of fact, I was late 3 hours for work, they finally had the checks printed. At that time, 60 checks were ready to go, and I was one of those 60 people. The lady at the manager, I guess she was the business manager, told me that I was not supposed to be part of the initial disbursement, but because I was so concerned and it was so important to me, they added me to that list. Also added was Brenda Jameson, the first person to mention her name on my Part 4 video. Her check was not there even though she was on the list. When it came time for the checks to be printed at the cashier's office, which they were, 300 checks were ready to go. However, they were only going to disperse checks to those 60 people. Brenda Jameson also receives what's called a care check, which is a program designed for child care. However, even though her name was on the list, she didn't receive a check today. At the time I picked up my check, the total amount was $2,365.50. Now, I know that the max amount of financial aid for 1 year for the federal Pell Grant is roughly $5,000, so I can only estimate that the $2,000 plus that I just received was simply the 2 Pell Grant disbursements combined into one. I am eligible for the Cal Grant, which I have no idea if I'm even going to see. I'm willing to say that it might be the California State Budget Crunch. We may not see this at all. However, I don't think they're going to have any information for it right now. The Financial Aid Office did also say that during the first week of November, which technically starts, well, it's midnight now, so it's technically started. During the first week of November, we will be able to see if we can apply for student loans. I understand that some views may view me as hypocritical at this point for continuing this video series after I've received my check. However, I'm going to continue to report with these videos until the majority of the students have received their checks and the rest of them are on their way.